Hello and welcome to In the Kitchen with Matt. I am your host, Matt Taylor. Today, I'm going to teach you how to make one of my favorite treats, cinnamon rolls. They're super easy to make, super cheap, and super tasty. Let's get started. For the dough ingredients, we need 2 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, 2 tablespoons of butter, 1 large egg, 1 package of yeast, which is about 2 1/4 teaspoons, 1/2 cup of water, 1/4 cup of milk, or you can just use all water, and 1 teaspoon of salt. First, we want to get the yeast started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my milk and pour it in this cup, and my water, and we're going to heat that up in the microwave, and I'm going to just put it in there for about 30 seconds, and that should get it hot enough to activate the yeast. Okay, and then I'm going to take my warm water mixture. You don't want the liquid to be too hot, otherwise it's going to kill the yeast. Somewhere around 105 to 115 is pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just about a teaspoon of the sugar to that mixture. And what that's going to do is that's going to help the yeast. The yeast is going to feed on that sugar. And then we just take the yeast and we will just pour that in there like that. And we'll take a whisk and we'll just agitate this a little bit. And then we're going to set this aside for about 5 to 10 minutes and let the yeast start doing its thing. And what this is called proofing the yeast. Now let's add our teaspoon of salt to our flour here, and we're going to just give that a good whisk. You can also sift this together if you want, but this works just fine. Next, put your butter in the microwave and melt it till it's almost completely melted. Okay, our yeast is looking great. If you can tell, this has got really foamy, and it's raised probably about almost an inch high, 3/4 of an inch. So that's how you know that your yeast is activated and it's thriving properly. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add my melted butter. Now when you melt the butter, make sure it's not too hot. You don't want to kill the yeast. Put that in there. And now I'm going to take my sugar. We'll go ahead and add the sugar in there. Okay. We'll give that a good whisk. Okay. Now I'm going to add my egg here, and we're going to go ahead and make sure that that gets all mixed in there. And as we're stirring and mixing that, we're going to slowly add our flour. And I'll keep using my whisk until it starts to get fairly lumpy, and then I'll switch to a wooden spoon. And of course, if you have a stand mixer, go ahead and do that, but it's not necessary. You do not need a mixer. Your arm is your mixer. Now I'm going to add almost all of it, but I'm going to save the rest to add in after the fact. Just add a little bit more. Now when it gets about that point, I'm going to take my hands here. Make sure your hands are clean. And I'm going to use my, kind of just knead it a little bit inside the bowl. And then transfer it. Okay, now we're going to just start kneading. But we're going to want to knead and keep incorporating the rest of this flour into it for about 8 minutes. And then the way I knead is you just take it, you fold it over, use your palm like that, and then turn it half turn like that. just like that. Half turn, fold, push. Half turn, fold, push. And when it starts sticking, you just add some more of your flour there. Just keep going. Some people do not like to hand knead their dough. I like it. It's kind of therapeutic, and you get a pretty good workout doing it. And we all know that those cinnamon rolls have lots of calories in them. So I'm just kind of burning off the calories right now, so then I can eat the cinnamon rolls later. But if you have a stand mixer and has a dough hook, go ahead and use it. But I don't have one. Maybe someday I will buy a KitchenAid or something like that, and I won't hand knead anymore. Okay, our dough is done, and this is kind of what you want it to be like. Don't worry about little specks of flour on there, but it's nice and elasticy like that. It doesn't stick to your finger. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer it to this bowl, and I just rinsed out the other bowl, and then I sprayed the inside with some cooking spray, and I'm just going to go ahead and move that around in there. I'm going to go ahead and just cover this with a cloth and let it rise for about an hour. Okay, our dough has risen. It's gotten about double in size. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take it out. Take that leftover flour that we have and make sure the bottom of the counter here is nice and floury. We're going to take our dough here. And now what we want to do is we want to roll the dough out in a rectangle. Okay, about like that. Okay, now let's go ahead and make our filling. For our filling, we want 2/3 cup of brown sugar. We'll put that in there. 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, more or less, so I'm not gonna do it completely exact, so I'm just gonna toss it in here, about like that, it's fine. And then we want 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And we're gonna put that in there. Let's go ahead and mix this all together. You can whisk it, you can use a fork, you can use your spoon. So now we're gonna take our butter. Our butter has softened, and we're gonna just go ahead and we're gonna slather this on here, like this. Look at that butter. Ooh yeah, butter, butter, butter. Love me some butter. Butter is kind of like bacon. It makes everything taste better. All right. Make sure you get the edges. Now let's take our sugar mixture and we're gonna just put it on here evenly. Now at this point, what you can do also is you could add pecans, raisins, you know, whatever you want to put in the middle. Those are some classic toppings to put in the middle here. It almost looks like a dessert pizza. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to roll it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from this end and I'm going to roll it towards us. So you want to get it nice and tight here, and we're going to roll it. Okay, so I got this 9 by 13 baking pan here, and what I'm going to do is I need to cut this into pieces. I like to grab a knife and I like to make marks. So I want to divide it in half, right there. Divide that in half. Divide that in half. And then what we do is we grab some floss. This is a kind of a cool trick. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. Take floss, make it about a yard long or a meter. And then we go underneath it like here, and right on our line, go across like this and pull. Boom. And there you go. Put it in there. And then we'll go ahead and do that with all of them. The line is really just for a guide. You don't have to be exact on this at all. But you do want to keep the sizes pretty close to the same so they will cook evenly or bake evenly in the oven. Space these out a little bit better here. Some people throw away the tips, but I don't, because you cover it in some glaze. Tastes just great. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some saran wrap or plastic wrap here, and I'm just going to cover that up loosely. It doesn't have to be tight or anything. And then we're just going to let that rise for about 30 more minutes to an hour. Okay, I've let them rise and they've about doubled in size. And now what I'm gonna do is I got some melted butter here, about 2 tablespoons. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to put it on the tops here. And what this will do is this will help them brown as well as add flavor. Remember what I said about butter earlier? I don't even remember what I said about butter. Something about butter and bacon. Bacon. Okay, and now it's ready to bake, and we bake it in a preheated oven at 375, and I'm going to bake it for 15 to 20 minutes until it's nice and golden brown on the top. Okay, I just took these out of the oven and they look amazing, nice and golden brown on the top. Wound up taking right around 20 minutes. They look spectacular and they smell just out of this world, amazing. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna let them sit for about 5 minutes, and while we do that, we're gonna go ahead and make our glaze. Okay, for our glaze, we need 1.5 cups of powdered sugar or confectioner's sugar. We need 1/4 cup of melted butter, and we need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then a few tablespoons of milk. But we're gonna put that in last. So first, we're gonna take our butter and go ahead and pour it all over that nice sugar. And then we're gonna get our vanilla extract. Pour that in there. And with a fork, we're gonna go ahead and start mixing. Okay, and at this point, we can add our first tablespoon of milk. And this is just a classic vanilla icing. All right, still too thick. Add 1 more tablespoon of milk. That's starting to get pretty good. And it all depends on how thick you want your icing or how thin you want it. I like mine kind of thick, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave it just like this. So that only wound up taking 2 tablespoons of milk. Okay, set that aside and we'll grab our cinnamon rolls. All right, so what we do is we just go ahead and take our icing and we're gonna go ahead and just drizzle it on. And if you find that you want more or less, then you can do that. You can make some more. It's really easy to make this icing, or you don't have to put as much on. And there we have it. Super amazing cinnamon rolls made from scratch. All right, the cinnamon rolls are done. They look amazing and they smell fantastic. I wish you could smell what I'm smelling right now. Ooh, I'm so excited to dig into one. I'm Matt Taylor. This has been another episode of In the Kitchen with Matt. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. All right. Which one should I get? Get this one right here. Oh, wow. Oh. Oh, this is awesome.